And she told me how it was, identified the problems in Milwaukee, easily, systematically identified the problems. And then when I said, so what's your plan? She had a plan. She had an actionable plan that, if put into place in Milwaukee County, would substantially reduce the problem of violence on the streets of Milwaukee. Does anyone want violence reduced in Milwaukee? I do, and I don't live there. It's not hard. It's a matter of political will. It's a matter of being willing to take criticism. It's a matter of pushing back against the machine. There's a machine political environment in Milwaukee, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a liberal Democrat. If you're not part of the machine, you're not part of the process. And if you're not part of the process, you can't affect change. You can't be part of the solution. In order to break open that political machine, Verona needs your help. She needs people who will be willing to spread the word, help her out with campaign donations, make sure you let folks know there is an alternative to John Chisholm. And let's not forget what John Chisholm has done in Milwaukee County. Besides oversee one of the sharpest increases in violent crime, homicides, one of the most dramatic scandals in the history of Wisconsin government, and that was running the secret John Doe investigation, where this man decided that it was more important to try to shut down speech of people like you and me than he thought it was in solving the problem of juvenile violence in the city of Milwaukee, or the problem with the rise in homicides, the rise in carjackings, car thefts, burglaries, and the list goes on. While the streets of Milwaukee were descending into chaos on his watch, he thought he'd spend over $600,000 that we can count of Milwaukee County taxpayer resources going after people in Middleton, Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin, Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. You couldn't throw a rock and hit any of those towns. From where we're standing right now, why was Milwaukee County taxpayer money being used to investigate people who don't even live here, while street thugs continue to roam the neighborhoods and put the most vulnerable people at risk? I had a chance to meet somebody who can turn it around. I had a chance to meet her a couple of weeks ago and then interview her on the air today, and I hope you'll come back.
I shall.
Because Verona Swanigan actually has honest solutions and has a message that cuts across party lines. Please welcome Verona Swanigan.
It shall be my goal to be brief for two reasons. One, I'm losing my voice. It's starting to hurt. Two, this young man in his chair has been falling asleep. So I'm going to try to be brief. You didn't think anybody saw you. So, I am running for Milwaukee County District Attorney. I am doing this, and I am right now, unlike everyone else I think that stood before me, most people are standing before you asking for votes for other people. I am now begging for your vote. There's nothing on the ballot on this partisan, should not be partisan election coming up in August. It is the one time that Milwaukee County gets to actually vote for district attorney. And it is one of the most important seats that we have in our county. We unfortunately made a mistake in April, and we kept all of the folks that were in office that also add and create the problem that I am trying to fight against. We have an obligation, not only to our own safety, but to the safety of our children and to our future, to make a change. I have been in the room with Chisholm multiple times, and he likes to brag. I call him the abysmal failure. How do you stand in front of this community and brag when you are in the top 10 most dangerous cities in this country? How do you stand before this community and brag when you are regularly and daily, even according to UWM, letting people who use guns back on the streets? How do you stand in front of this community and brag when you have children who are being shot and killed in their own homes? In my opinion, he should be apologizing. His failures have been so thick and so long that he should be apologizing. I find it offensive when the Democratic Party says to me, you shouldn't be running, he's our candidate. Why? Give me one good reason. And they always go to the John Doe case. Every time. Oh, it's the John Doe case. And I said, well, didn't he lose? Can you come up with one thing that he won? Give me one winning idea. And then I'll be like, okay, fine, I'll get out the race. They can never do it. Every time they talk, oh, it's John Doe. He fought Walker. Walker ran for president, didn't he? I think most of y'all supported him, right?
Yep.
So I don't understand what he was doing. I don't understand why they give him any ounce of respect. My personal opinion is it's time for a change. And that change shouldn't be about parties. I'm licensed to practice law in 5 states, and I can promise you Wisconsin is the only state where the DA seat has become so politically drawn that they forgot about the needs of the people.
Amen.
For sure.
It's ridiculous. This seat should be about the people in this community. This job, you should be sitting back saying, okay, as crime rates go up, property values go down. As crime rates go up, insurance goes up. As crime rates go up, business owners want to leave. That's what happens when he does not do his job. It's more serious than what he tries to propose it to be. And I'm standing here going, okay, my uncle got robbed in the back of his own house, carjacked. My nephew got a gun held to his head on the playground. And you want to talk to me about a damn John Doe case? Could we talk about the real issues? When they talk about me in the media, the old Inquirer, we call the Journal. They come up with everything under the sun but the truth. So let me give you some truth. I'm licensed to practice law in 5 states. I've taken 3 of the hardest bar exams in this country, which is Nevada, Illinois, and California. The only one that's higher than that is New York, and I have no desire to ever live in New York.
Good for you.
I've also never lost a trial. Not once in my life, and the Journal's never going to write that for y'all to read.
Yeah.
Okay? I also used to do probation and parole. So I can throw you on the ground and put handcuffs on you right now. I got the bruises on my hands to prove it. I've also done social work with some of the baddest, most violent, aggressive, fire-starting, sexually abusing juveniles in Milwaukee. One of my kids I used to work with was designated to become a serial killer when he became an adult. I have a multitude of experience that the average attorney does not have. I have a master's degree in forensic psychology. So this restorative justice that Chisholm likes to lay at people's feet and say he's the most progressive DA that's ever existed, it's nonsense. Because if you ask the man, could you please tell me the measurements that you have in place to know if these programs are effective? His eyes start rolling back his head, looks like he's a zombie or something. He has no idea what that means. The reality is you need somebody in that seat that does not just understand the law, but understands the effects of crime, understands how to control crime, how to counsel people, understands what counseling programs are working. I went and looked at the juvenile justice programs that are currently being used. 5 of them have already been proven by psychologists not to work. Why are we still using them? That's the situation we're in. That's why we have the problems we have. When it comes to carjacking, how many people in here are afraid that their car might get stolen one day? I know I am. There's certain streets I don't even want to drive down anymore in Milwaukee County. And the reality of that is, why is he still charging these kids as if they're just joyriding? If I put a gun to your head and take your car, that is not joyriding. If I leave your child on the side of the road, that is not joyriding.
That's right.
And that should never be charged that way.
That's right.
The other thing that he likes to do, I walk up to you and I shoot you. But you don't die. You're still alive. Should I be charged with attempted murder? Or should I be charged with reckless endangerment? He tends to charge you with reckless endangerment. Reckless endangerment is the equivalent of me shooting a gun in the air. It has nothing to do with me trying to kill you and oops, I didn't actually get to kill you. It's a problem. And the reason he does it is because it makes him look better. it makes him look like he has control of something, but no one that lives here, I think, has any sentiment that he has control of anything. We need a change. We need stricter rules. One of the things I intend to do is to work closely with our legislature, because things like our car theft law need to change. We should not have a car theft law that determines the value of the theft based on the value of the car. So if you are a family just starting out with a brand new baby and you can only afford to get a $1,000 car, that car should not be treated as something less valuable to you than someone that's driving around in a $50,000 car. We have to talk to our legislature, which is something he never does. The other thing we have to do is we have to make sure we are not letting people bail out with the same money they stole from us. I could never take a client in California in front of a DA and they 17 and they managed to somehow magically come up with $10,000 in less than 10 minutes. And the judge and the assistant DA now look at me and go, "You think your client going home?" Oh, no, they not. Not today. What we're going to do is set a hearing for a week from now and let your client try to prove where this money came from. See, he recently let somebody out for $10,000. And then he locked them back up on Monday. Now, this was the funny part about it. It wasn't until I got on the radio, which I believe it wasn't with Vicki, it was the other show. It was Pat, yes. And on that radio show, I said, this young man's Facebook page is covered with drugs, guns. It is covered with him and his mother sitting together getting drunk. Why would you release this young man back to that mother? All of a sudden, we looked at his Facebook page and we decided to lock him back up. You should have looked at his Facebook page when he was in court.
That's right.
You should have looked at his Facebook page before you let him back on the streets to harass and terrorize all of us. So we need a new training for what happens at that office. And it needs to be punitive. It needs to be effective.
Yes.
It needs to be direct. And it needs to deal with the real issues, not this la-la-land, I'm the most progressive DA that anybody could imagine, and I don't know where we imagined it at, but Wizard of Oz. Because I ain't seen it. I'm asking you to please, August 9th, go out and vote. As someone just whispered in my ear, you have nothing else to vote for. There's no Republican thing on the ballot August 9th. So please put your safety first. Put your children first. Put your home property value first. Put your car insurance value first. And go vote on August 9th. And get rid of Chisholm.
Sounds good.